Hey everybody, it's Drew Berry, and today I'm bringing you a guide for Pool 1. So if you just got into the game, congratulations. If the game has finally been released by the time you're watching this video, then that's awesome. Here we go, your journey in Marvel Snap has just begun, and you're probably in Pool 1 at this point. There is a small tutorial from level 1 to I believe 14 or 18 where you're just going to play bots and you're just going to acquire some base level cards, some really good cards, and then it's going to put you in Pool 1. That's where you're going to start earning mystery cards in the collection level. This is going to last until level 214, so you're going to be here for a while, so it's really worth your while to learn some of the decks and tips to get a better rank so you can get more rewards and collect cards faster. So here I have 3 categories of tips. I'm going through how to climb rank early on, how to increase your collection level at a faster rate, and then also some game mechanics that I didn't click with right away that I think will be helpful to know. And then I have 3 decks that I'm going to highlight that all use Pool 1 cards, so you can somewhat, within your time of Pool 1, make one of these decks and then rank accordingly. I really want to preface this though. You know, this is just my opinions, and this is just a few things that I've learned. Go look at other content creators. Look at blog posts. There's just so much information out there on Marvel Snap. The more you know, the better off you are. So I hope this helps you out. But there's like a wealth of knowledge out there, so be sure to check out other resources if you're serious about climbing. Okay, so you want to climb rank. So let's start with the deck I have here. So on the left, I have an ongoing deck. So the first thing I want to highlight here is I have Nightcrawler, and he doesn't have the ongoing keyword. The reason for this is I think Nightcrawler is the best Pool 1 card there is, hands down. A blog post recently came out, or a Discord post from Team Second Dinner, and it was the most added card to any deck throughout the entire game population. So, and I think for good reason, especially in Pool 1. There's not a lot of cards in Pool 1 that can move, let alone move freely. Nightcrawler is the only one. So there's a lot of locations in Marvel Snap that say that you can't play certain cards at this location, or you just can't play cards in general. Nightcrawler breaks that rule because you can play it on a different location and then move him to that location, giving you an advantage over your opponent. And if they don't have Nightcrawler or some other method of getting power over to that location, that's an easy location win, and all you have to do is focus on one. And more times than not, you'll win games because of it. I think it's actually a huge liability to not run Nightcrawler early on. Nightcrawler does fade out. Don't get me wrong. Pool 2, Pool 3, there's going to be other cards that are going to replace him that are going to synergize with your deck better. But I really do believe Pool 1, he's your MVP of any deck. So you're going to notice he's in every one of these decks that I have. But moving on, I've got a bunch of ongoing synergistic cards, like Onslaught. He's going to double the ongoing effects at a location. So he's kind of your big turn 6 power booster. Iron Man, another big power booster. Amazing card. Don't let the 0 power deceive you. He's going to double the total power output at any location that he's played on, which can just create some bonkers numbers. These two together are absolutely insane. Mr. Fantastic is also one of the better cards of this deck. Just giving 2 to each location is really helpful of messing with your opponent, not really knowing where you're focusing, opening up options for you to later decide where you actually want to play cards. I think it's a very sneaky good card. And then another 2 that I want to talk about here, all of them are pretty basic package. Devil Dinosaur you can maybe take out. It's better with Moongrow, but I thought, he's just an always pretty good card. He's also 4 mana. I know I have the 3 mana card. He's 4 mana. But Angela and Armor. So Angela, I really like Angela here because she's just getting that +2 power. She can very quickly get to 7, even 9 power if you move Nightcrawler off of her location, put somebody else there. And it just goes well with Iron Man. Yes, there's no ongoing synergy here, but I think with how you're playing, you're trying to set up 2 locations, not 3, 2 locations. And she's going to do a really good job of locking one in for you. And then Armor. Armor's just really placed here as a tech option, okay? So feel free if you think that there's a better option to take Armor out and put something else, okay? there's always going to be meta cards, meta combos, and then Marvel Snap seems to have a lot of counters to those combinations. So Armor I put in here because Nova Carnage was running rampant. It was everywhere. Armor shuts that down by allowing nothing to be destroyed at that location, provided that it triggers first. So feel free to take that out. Enchantress is another good combo breaker. It just doesn't go well with ongoing decks, but you get the idea, right? So that's the ongoing deck. It's really fun. Give it a shot. They give you a lot of these cards early, so it might be one that's worth trying out right when you get out of the tutorial stage. And then in terms of climbing rank, the number one thing that I can say is choose one deck and stick with it. It doesn't even have to be one of these decks that I'm highlighting. Just choose a deck that you either enjoy a lot or is winning you games, and just play it on repeat. Because you're going to learn that deck inside and out. There's a lot of locations, a lot of variance from game to game, and you're going to know which locations are going to hurt you, which locations are going to benefit you, how your curve is looking as you're playing, and like later turns, turn 3, 4, you can kind of project, okay, I have these many cards in my deck, I have these in my hand, I've played these, my opponent's got this. You're just going to have a better feel of if you're going to win games or lose games, and the result will be you'll retreat when things get bad, and you won't lose as many cubes, and you'll stay in there, and you'll know when to snap to double your winnings, and you're just going to progress further for that. Marvel Snap, compared to any other card game I've ever played, really benefits the player from knowing their deck. Good to know your opponent's decks, even better to know your own. So play one deck and run with it. Not as fun. It's more fun to play with a lot of cards, but if you really want to increase your rank, that's my number one tip. Second, be aware of balance changes. The easiest way to do this is to subscribe, because I'm going to update you when there is a balance change. Okay, moving on. 3, snap when you can foresee your future plays. So this one will take a bit of getting used to, but really the idea is I like to snap not at the beginning, not at the end of the match, because they're going to retreat, and if it's at the beginning, you might screw yourself. Right in the middle, like turn 3, 4, because your opponent's probably not too scared of what you got going on. And if you are on turn 3, let's say, and your hand is set up for turn 4, 5, 6, even if you're missing a card, you just kind of know that you're going to draw something that's going to fill it in based on what you have left in your deck. If you can kind of project the numbers, the total power on your location, look at what your opponent's doing, get an idea for that, you're probably in a good spot, and I like to snap in those moments. So, by example of this ongoing deck, it's turn 3. I have an open location. I have Namor, Iron Man, Onslaught in my hand, right? This is a dream scenario, but you play Namor on the empty spot. That's a powerful location. And then you play Iron Man and Onslaught on your turns 5 and 6 on some other locations that are going to help you out. And then you probably won the game, right? And then you've locked in the 4 cubes, right? Because you got them to snap if it goes to the end. If not, you got 2. And then, honestly, getting 2 is a win, big win. You can get 1, it's not really that big of a win. It is technically, but you want more cubes to accelerate your rank. Okay, number 4, focus on only winning 2 locations. Big mistake I think people make early is they're trying to win every single location. That's just not how Marvel Snap works. You're only trying to win 2 out of 3. Abandon one location early on. Recognize your win conditions. Recognize which one is not going to benefit your deck. The ongoing deck. You don't want to play cards of an ongoing deck where it's like -2 power to every card here. Why? Because you play Iron Man, he's going to double that negative. So there's just like a lot of little things like that you just want to avoid. So recognize the locations and what your opponent's doing, and just try to win 2 locations. Avoid playing 4 cards in one location until the last turn. This is just information you're giving your opponent. If you put 4 cards, let's say by turn 4 or 5, doesn't really matter, your total power output is going to be very visible for your opponent, and they can do the math and decide whether their hand can beat that or not. You don't want to give them that power of knowledge, right? There might be sneaky ways, and I'll show a deck later that's going to get around this, because you can buff the cards that are there. But in general, I think a good rule of thumb is to not play all the cards at one location until the last turn. It'll give that surprise factor, and you can make the decision to not actually commit to that location if it's not looking good, right? Number 6 is retreat. This isn't very fun, but if you're trying to rank up, get out of there. If it starts getting bad, don't just stick with it because you might have a chance. You know? I know it's not very fun for the people playing, and I wish this wasn't the way, but it's how the game works. Retreat, just get out of there. Literally, I know some friends, and I've done it myself. It could be turn 2, and a location just screwed me, or somebody just electroed my one cost that I already buffed, my sunspot, or there's just a bunch of number of combinations. Snipe my Nightcrawler. I get out of there. Just get out of there. You lose 1 cube, you're on to the next one, and the next game you win 8 cubes. Plus 7. That's how you're going to increase your rank. If you stick with it every single game and you're losing at least 2, probably 4 because your opponent snapped, and then possibly 8 because maybe you snapped and they snapped. It's not a perfect. That's going to happen. Don't get discouraged because you lost 8 cubes. That should be another tip. Don't get discouraged. You can get that back so quick. There's so many times I've dropped like 10 ranks and then climbed it back just by focusing. Because I want to try different cards and then I lose rank. My rank right now is terrible just because I'm playing with all these new pool 3 cards. So yeah, just don't get discouraged and retreat when things get bad. Alright, so let's go on to the next deck. So we got an on-reveal deck. So they give you a lot of these cards early, so you can build this pretty quickly. There's not much to say here, but really the biggest thing is you're going to have to read where your opponent's going to play cards. Cards like Rocket Raccoon, Star-Lord, Groot, and Gamora. So the Guardians of the Galaxy set, they all require you to guess where your opponent's going to play a card. Because they get a benefit, if a card's played there, they'll get like plus 3 power or whatever. Which is challenging, especially early on. So again, play this deck on repeat. You're going to get a better idea of where people are likely going to go. And don't just concede because you don't hit that power. Maybe if the match isn't going well, but if you play Star-Lord and it doesn't hit, it's not the end of the world. There's still a lot of other ways that you can buff Star-Lord or get benefits like Ironheart. Odin, you could trigger him again on a later turn. This just has a lot of big power. Another thing a tip I like to do with this deck is you're likely going to play Ironheart and White Tiger at one point. I like to play them on the location I don't plan on winning. Because the plan is to buff everything else with the White Tiger shooting over and the plus 6 power from Ironheart to my other cards. And then I play Odin on that location, sending another Tiger out and another plus 6, hopefully buffing those enough so that I can win at least one or both. And then I still have a formidable location with 8, 1, 9 power, right? That might catch people off guard because I haven't committed resources to it. So that's a sneaky little play I like to do. But overall, this is a pretty fun deck. This was my favorite when I was starting because it feels really good when you predict where people are going to play cards. In Tigers, fun. Okay, so for your collection, I'll just go over this really quickly. There's just a few things that I think need to be said. So if you're just starting a Marvel Snap, upgrade your commons first. This is the best value that you can get. So it's 25 credits. I don't even know how many boosters, but it doesn't matter. It's 25 credits for 2 collection levels. Whereas the next step up from uncommon to rare is going to be 100 credits and 4 collection levels. So if you do the math there's a lot more value whenever you upgrade a common. And you're going to get shoveled a lot of commons very early. You're going to find that the collection level is actually pretty generous in Marvel Snap. Believe it or not, people don't like to say that because of Pool 3, but in Pool 1, you're gonna climb really quickly just doing your dailies. And you're going to get a lot of new cards that are going to be common when you get them at first. So this is just a good opportunity to upgrade them. If you go linear and you just upgrade one card all the way to infinity and split it, you're going to be just dumping a lot more resources, taking that much more time to increase your collection level. It's by no means a bad thing, but it's just going to be a little bit slower. So if you're looking to go fast, commons are the way to go. Okay, and the daily quests are added every 8 hours. That's 2 new quests. That's 6 quests in a day. And then you get the bonus if you just complete 2 daily quests on the day reset. And then there's some other methods of getting credits boosters, like your season pass or your rank increase. So just keep these in mind as different ways to get credits and boosters to upgrade your cards. Do not fast upgrade. If you go to the shop, there's an option that says fast upgrade. So this is if you don't have enough boosters for a card, you can pay a premium on your credits to compensate for those boosters and then upgrade that card. Trash, trash, trash. Don't do it. Credits are the more valuable resource. You're going to get boosters like crazy. There is a cap now of 1,000, but unless you're playing like 10 hours a day, you're not going to hit that cap. So don't sweat it. Boosters will come if you just play the same card. So all you have to do is play that card in your deck and you have a chance of getting boosters for it. Whereas credits are locked behind quests, daily quests. So yeah, just don't do this fast upgrade. It's totally useless. Don't do it. The paid season is 80% cosmetic. So don't feel like you have to buy it. Buy it if you want all the cool things, by all means. But I believe I did a video on this not too long ago with the new season rollout. I believe it's 2,400 credits that you'll earn if you pay for the season pass and 2,100 if you just do the free route. So not a huge difference. There's some gold and other rewards as well, but mostly it's like about the card backs, the card variants, some extra boosters here and there. But really, you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. Don't feel like that's giving a competitive advantage to your opponents. It's not. It's not. Except for the card that gets thrown in there, maybe. We'll see about that in the future season passes. Hasn't been a broken card yet. Okay, and then the rank reset is it's gonna reset every month, along with the seasons. So what happens is you're going to, let's say you got to Infinity, which is rank level 100. It's going to drop you 30, so you're going to go down to 70. What about all the rewards underneath that, right? There's a lot of rewards for hitting 60, 50, 40, whatever. Well, if you just play 10 games in the new season, you're going to get all those rewards right up to 70, and then even if you're higher, right? So just keep that in mind that those won't disappear. You will collect those. And then lastly, you can use gold towards credits. That's what I did early on to increase my collection level at a faster rate. The other use for gold, as far as I know, is for the variants, card variants if you want, which there's some cool ones, so I mean, go for it. But other than that, use it towards credits, or there might be another mode or something in the future on release that will use gold as a currency, so save it. Save it. I couldn't tell you for sure, but that might be a smart move. Yeah. Okay, so then let's move on to the last deck and some gameplay mechanics. So we got one cost deck. So this one is probably the best one to rank up with. It even got nerfed, and I still think it's really good. And it's really easy to pilot. Really, what you're trying to do is flood your locations. And I know I said focus on 2, but in this case, because it's so cheap to play cards, you can kind of spread yourself out a little bit, and it won't hurt you too much. But there's some cards that you want to focus on. Your focus cards are Ant-Man. Ant-Man is great because he's going to get +3. He's going to get the 1 cost benefit, Blue Marvel benefit, all that good stuff. Kazar, Blue Marvel. So like these 3 cards are the ones you want. And you don't need to get them all to win, but they're really going to help you out. Carnage Nova, fantastic combo. You want to do that in your open location if you're stacking 2 other ones. But you don't actually need it anymore. It used to be necessary, and you actually wanted to double it with Moon Girl. But now, I think it's just an extra bonus. And then I have other cards in here. You could probably swap out Blade for something else. I'm not a huge fan, actually, because you'll discard something, and sometimes you don't want to discard. But really, I'd say at least have 6 1-cost cards to get the benefit from Kazar, and to make sure that you're able to flood the deck, the board enough. Another one that might be good is Sinister something, Mr. Sinister. He's a good one. He'll summon a copy of himself too. Yeah, I think that would be a nice addition if you wanted to go that route. But overall, flood the deck. That's all you need to know, and try and play Kazar and Blue Marvel to get the buffs, and you're probably in a good spot. So some gameplay mechanics. Did you know that you can click the portraits and see hand size, deck size, and how many cards were discarded or destroyed? Yeah, I didn't know that until like way later in the game, until I was like midway through pool two. I was like, what? I wanted an action log. I still do, like full action log, because like I'll maybe look away from my phone and then look back and some crazy stuff happened. I'm like, no, what happened? I have no idea. Well, you can get a little bit of information on your opponent and yourself by clicking their respective portraits. Another thing on this note is you can click cards to see how they got their buffs or debuffs. It doesn't tell you exactly, like, I still wish they would show you which cards were discarded. It'll tell me how many, but not which ones, and destroyed, etc., stuff like that. But at least if you want to know the power level of certain cards, you just click on them and it'll show you. You want to know who reveals first? Well, the glowing gamer tag is going to tell you. I think it's random for turn one, but then every turn after that, it's whoever's winning the game is going to reveal first, because usually it's a disadvantage to reveal first. Not in every scenario, but that's how they're kind of justifying it. That's how it works. So if you're winning, you're going to reveal first. If you want to confirm if you're revealing first or not, look at the gamer tags and see which one's glowing. The order of cards played impacts the sequence. There's a lot of crazy scenarios where this really, really matters. But like, let's say there's a card called Forge. He's going to give +2 power to the next card that's played. Well, if you really wanted to get the next card that's played buffed, you got to make sure to play Forge first. You can't just throw them both down and hope because you played 2 cards, Forge is going to know to buff the other one. No, you got to do it in the right sequence. Forge, then something else. Okay, very, very important. That goes for your opponent too. The sequence that they play, it's going to roll out. So just keep in mind, be careful when you're playing things. And if you made a mistake, click on the mana, your mana total, and it'll allow you to undo all the actions that you've made. It's really helpful. And on that note as well, moving a card is what's going to happen first. So let's say you move Nightcrawler from left to right. He's going to do that, then all your other cards are going to be revealed. Okay, so anytime there's movement, that will occur first. Hand size is 7 cards, pretty standard, but I didn't know that. It didn't really tell me anywhere. So you have 7 cards in your hand. I believe you have 3 and draw 1 at the beginning, so that's 4. And then also with, like turn 2, 3, 4, 5, that's another 4, 8 cards, 4 cards left in your deck, like just something to keep in mind when you're tracking it. But again, you can click your portrait to check. And there's no fatigue damage. So I come from Hearthstone. That's the game I played for the last decade. And you take fatigue damage across every turn that you don't have cards in your deck, and it increases. In Marvel Snap, there's none of that. The only negative to not having cards in your deck is you don't have cards to draw. I think that's actually a nice change. It makes drawing not as powerful, and then also milling your opponent not as powerful, but it still hurts. If you can't draw cards, you have less options. I haven't seen like a true mill deck, like where it just tries to get rid of your opponent's deck. I'm sure it's out there. I'd love to experiment with it and see if it's actually good. But yeah, don't worry about fatigue damage if it gets to that point. So, that's pretty well it. I know I just dumped a lot of info on you, but try one of these decks out, play them like crazy, and if you get stuck, don't get discouraged. There's so many great resources out there, a lot of other content creators that are just starting with this game. It is so much fun. I'm really enjoying playing Marvel Snap, truly. I played a lot of card games before, and I think this is one of my favorite, from the mechanics, from the variants, from location to location, the way Team Second Dinner is responding to everybody, and the art is just gorgeous. I just find myself staring at it sometimes because I just love it, and there's still variants that I haven't seen. It's awesome. So I hope you enjoy. Have fun in Pool 1. And comment below if there's anything that I missed that you found really helpful that might help somebody who's new who came to this video and is looking at the comments. Let's just help each other out here, okay? All right. Have fun, and I'll catch you later.